Stop paying too much for car maintenance. Do it yourself and save thousands.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Tooltime John. Today we're talking about something that could save you some serious chunk of change. And we're talking about vehicle maintenance. Now, I know what you're thinking. My car needs an oil change, a tire rotation, maybe a new air filter, and that's just part of owning a car, right? Well, and I need a pro to do it. What if I told you that doing these tasks yourselves can save you hundreds and possibly thousands over the course of 1 year, and especially over the lifetime that you own the vehicle? And sincerely, it's not as hard as you might think it to be. There's so many resources out there that can teach you how to do something if you're absolutely clueless. You know, you've got Google, you've got YouTube. You can pick up a shop manual for your specific car, and it'll take you step by step on how to do the repair or the maintenance or whatever task it is with your vehicle. Where do these savings come from? It boils down to a few key areas: parts, labor, and preventive care. When you take your car to a shop, you're not just paying for the parts, you're paying for the mechanic's time, their expertise, the shop's overhead, like electricity, rent, insurance, all that stuff. And that labor cost adds up fast. You may shop around your town, and it could be that the average labor cost for a mechanic is anywhere from $150 to $200 an hour. Think about it. A simple oil change might take a pro about 15 to 30 minutes to get it done. Never mind these quick oil change places, at about $100 an hour. That's a lot. And then you have to pay for the oil and the filter. You do that twice a year for 10 years, and you've spent anywhere from $500 to $1,000 just on labor for oil changes. Imagine the savings on a more involved job, like swapping out brake pads. Auto shops, like any business, needs to make a profit, okay? And one way they do that is by marking up the cost of the parts. So you might pay, $30 for an air filter at a shop, whereas at a parts store, you may be paying $15 or $20 or even less online. So they have to mark it up, because if that part fails, they're not going to take a total loss on it and replace that part if necessary. So it might not seem like much on one item, but when you combine all the parts needed for a service, those markups can really start to pinch your wallet. Or in my case, my wallet screams when I try to take money out of it. Buying your own parts, you get to shop around for the best deals, choose your preferred brands, and avoid those hefty upcharges. Now, you kind of have to know what brands to buy versus what to avoid. So now you know why you save money, but can you actually do it yourself? You'd be surprised. So let's look at some of these that are the easiest and most impactful tasks. Oil changes. This is the classic DIY maintenance task. All you need are usually a few basic tools, like, a socket and a ratchet or pliers. You may need to get an oil filter wrench, but then a drain pan, and that's pretty much it. I'll put an oil change video up here in the corner so you can see what it comprises of, but it's really not that difficult. And you can easily save yourself anywhere from $50 to $100 by doing this yourself. Air filter replacements, it's amazing what shops will charge to simply swap out an air filter. Most of the time, you've got clips that hold the air filter in the air box. Occasionally, they may be a screw or a bolt or something like that, but those tools are not very expensive to get. I mean, it takes 2 minutes to swap out your air filter, and a shop would probably charge you 30 minutes. At least they could have a minimum hourly charge. So it could be, $50 to just swap out an air filter that you could do yourself in just a few minutes. Cabin air filter replacement. Now, this may seem a little bit more involved, because it's inside the cabin and it may be a little finicky getting to that compartment, but it too is relatively easy to do on your own. And typically shops will charge you a bit more than a regular engine air filter replacement. So that's another area that you can save money on. Typically you want to change out your cabin air filter, probably once a year, once every other year. It depends really on your driving conditions. If you got a lot of dust in your area, a lot of leaves, things like that. Wiper blade replacements, so easy to do. I mean, it takes a few minutes to do each one, and if you get a shop to do it, they're going to charge you probably, double, what you pay for the wiper blades themselves. So you could easily save yourself anywhere from 15 to 30 bucks per pair. Now, tire rotations, if you buy new tires from, a chain, they often include the tire rotations in the purchase of those tires. So obviously you have savings there. However, if you have old tires or used tires, you want to rotate them so you can actually lengthen the life of those tires, right? Because you've got your drive wheels. If it's a front wheel drive car, the front tires will wear sooner than the rear. If it's a rear wheel drive car, the rear tires will wear sooner than the ones in the front. All-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, it all depends. And so by rotating the tires, you're actually promoting even wear across all the tires, and so you maximize the life of those tires. And tires are not cheap, pretty dang expensive. So by lengthening the life of those tires, you're getting the most value out of what you paid for those tires. And if you're going to do this at home, really you just need some jack stands and your tire iron or a socket and ratchet set or an impact. That'll make it real easy. And just follow the tire rotation pattern for your vehicle and just get that done. Usually at between 5,000 to 10,000 miles, you want to rotate your tires. So you can save a ton of money doing that if it's not included in the purchase of new tires. Fluid checks and top-offs. This is something that you can do. I mean, you want to learn about your car. So, where the coolant is, your oil, your brake fluid, things like that. And you should be able to just check the levels without having to take it into a shop. They could say it's a courtesy check or whatever, but bear in mind, they include the cost of doing those things into whatever service package that they give you. Okay? So that's something that you can do yourselves, and the car will tell you if it's low or if it's not, but you have to look. Light bulb replacements, it depends. If you have LEDs, they're a bit more difficult, but if you actually have like bulbs to replace because they're out, normally it's a very easy fix. And again, YouTube and Google are really good resources for that, and it'll take a few minutes. Some vehicles, a little bit tougher to do depending on which bulbs you're replacing, but that's something that you could do easily yourself, and you could save anywhere from $10 to $20 per bulb by doing it yourself. Battery terminal cleaning. Shops may recommend it, but it depends. Do you have a lot of corrosion or rust on your battery posts? You can do it yourself. You could actually pour hot water to melt off all the corrosion that's on those posts, or use a battery terminal cleaner and do it that way. But that'll save you anywhere from 20 to 50 bucks from what a shop will charge you to do that. Beyond the direct savings and doing your own maintenance, you feel more, hey, I did that. You'll actually catch problems earlier. If you're regularly under the hood or underneath your vehicle, things may jump out at you that you may not have noticed before. A tear in a boot, oil that's not supposed to be in a certain place, or grease, things like that. You're able to diagnose that earlier on by knowing your vehicle and doing your own maintenance, which actually will help prevent major repairs down the road or prevent a breakdown from happening, and then it's too late. And if you had just replaced that one part early on as a preventive measure, then it would have saved you a ton of money versus replacing the 3 or 4 or 5 parts as a result of that one part failing. Having increased knowledge and confidence, that comes by doing, right? So the longer you work on your vehicle, it should be easier for you to work on it knowing that, hey, I've done this before, or how difficult can it be? I'm learning. Get your fingers dirty, get it greasy, get in there. So there's a real sense of accomplishment and satisfaction by doing the job yourself. Okay? It's not rocket science, but at the same time, unless you do, you don't know or attempt it, right? So it's very encouraging and satisfying when you do the work and you see the results of it and your car's running well. Now, I'm not saying that you should tackle every single repair, because sometimes you need specialized tools and a lot more knowledge and maybe experience than you have. And so calling in a pro may be appropriate at that time. Unless you know how to tear down an engine and rebuild it, or a transmission, or you know about electrical stuff, maybe leave those more complicated repairs or tasks to the professionals. But, it doesn't hurt to ask Google or do an online search on how difficult that would be to do yourself. And there could be a tutorial out there. YouTube is chock full of information for you. Before you engage a pro, an automotive mechanic, you'll want to know their language. Okay? So the last thing I would want for you to do is to get hoodwinked. I'm not saying that all mechanics are, dishonest or, want to cheat you or whatever, but there are some that are out there. So by understanding the lingo, understanding the part, what it does, and things like that, and to have a conversation with a mechanic, they'll know that you're familiar with that topic. And if they want to cheat you, well, you're going to steal that opportunity from them. So, just a word to the wise. If you get quoted a ridiculous price, it's okay. Go get another quote. All right, just because one shop tells you it's going to cost, $1,500 doesn't mean another shop won't charge you less than that. They're all going to be different. Doing diagnoses, right? If you take your car to the dealership and for a diagnostic fee, they'll charge you $100 or more. And you can actually do your own diagnosis by becoming more familiar with your vehicle. Or you can even get one of those cheap little scanners, an OBD scanner. And there are affordable, I wouldn't say shop level, but almost shop level scanners available for, $100. And you're able to diagnose that yourself, especially when it pops up with all these different codes, which you can then look up online to figure out what the problem is. So that's another area that you can save a ton of money. There you have it. Doing your own maintenance isn't just about saving a few bucks here and there. It's about empowering yourself, gaining the knowledge, and gaining valuable skills. It could be a family member is in a pinch and you could help them. Or someone may be stuck on the side of the road and you're a good Samaritan and you want to help them out. Those kind of things are really invaluable to not only yourself but to others, to help them out. Pass on that knowledge that you gained. So start with the easy stuff, build your confidence, and watch your savings grow. So, for example, all the maintenance and repairs and everything that I did on my wife's Lexus last year, and it's not like we drive, unreal number of miles or whatever, doing brake checks, replacing the engine and cabin air filter, replacing the oil and oil filter a ton of times, replacing the spark plugs, checking the wheel bearings, rotating the tires, replacing the headlight bulbs, replacing the shocks and struts. Yeah, I did that all by myself, and replacing a broken wheel stud. All of that if I were to take it to a shop, and I'm estimating here using online, repairpal.com is kind of a good resource to see what a repair or maintenance service would cost. But all of that would have run me about $7,390 if I were to take that Lexus RX 350, that 2011 model, into the shop to do all that. But as it stands, I saved $5,746.66 because I did it myself. Sourced my own parts, did my own labor. I mean, that is a huge savings. And that's just on one vehicle. So take it for what it's worth, but I wanted to pass this on to you that DIY maintenance on your vehicle just doesn't save you a few bucks here and there. It can save you tons. So thanks for watching. If you like this kind of content, hit that like button and subscribe. Appreciate it. Until next time, see ya.